Coaching is now democratized because of AI. And in my opinion, coaching has been fundamentally broken for decades. I'm a certified coach. I believe that it is a useful tool, but it's extraordinarily expensive. It is only reserved for certain people at certain times, typically the top people in an organization. It's still effective. That's why people still do it. But could it be way more effective? Yeah. Now, coaches are ubiquitous. They're in this meeting, they're in my Slack, they're in my email. I finish a one-on-one with someone on my team, and the coach is like, hey, remember your goal about not dominating in meetings and talking more of percentage? Here's how you did on that. You asked 3. And I'm getting this real-time coaching that is everywhere. And now I can actually bring that to my real coach, the real human coach, and they have such a better amount of data and examples. And this goes with sports, where it's like if you watch someone shoot a basketball, the coach should be there to be like, hey, do this, fine tune this. That doesn't exist in corporate coaching, but it does now. And that is, I think, one of the biggest growth levers that we're going to see, period, in the HR space right now.
Well, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I feel like we've spoke so many times, but we're only now doing the show.
I know. I don't even know where to start. I feel like we've covered a lot. So good luck.
Be honest. Have you been avoiding me? Is that?
We have canceled a few times. So I don't know if it's you or me, but we're here.
That's actually a joke, but it's true. Everyone's like, who is it who's avoiding who? No.
Yeah, well, we're here now.
We're here now. Well, first of all, I've never met someone that's got color-coded books that all happen to be white. So that's a new thing for the show that you just bring in to the table.
And I'm keeping this plant alive as best I can. It's a fight, but we're doing okay.
That's an achievement. Like I've tried, and the only thing I could keep alive was a cactus. And they're literally made to survive any environment.
Any environment?
Yeah, it even fell off the shelf one time, and the pot shattered into 100 pieces, and all of the soil went everywhere. And I replanted it, and it still survived.
Maybe we should embrace our inner cactus.
The indestructible,
a resilient.
Yeah, but I have walked past the shelf and scratched myself quite a few times as well. So, but it lasted 4 different offices in 10 years.
Is it still going?
So now it's been rehomed, and it lives with my co-founder. So, and whenever I come over to the house, he reminds me, and he shows me the cactus every time with pure joy. And it lives above the sink, so he can't forget to water it. So it literally lives above the
once
sink.
A year?
Once a year is barely surviving as well. So the fact that you got a real plant behind you, yeah, I've got the studio plants, and I feel bad that they're not real, but I'm just not great.
They're not?
No, they're not.
Had me fooled.
They're the funny thing is I had IKEA on the show, and immediately the HR leader was like, "Those are from IKEA, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Good that you, yeah, like clearly you know your business very well.
I work at Greenhouse, so maybe I should know that too.
Yeah, well, one thing I was impressed with you guys, and I'll shout out to the team, when I was at Unleash, you built your greenhouse booth, which obviously was a greenhouse, and all of the plants were real. So you had a giant plant wall with the greenhouse logo, and you had a whole company come in that planted real. I mean, it makes sense. You're called greenhouse. You kind of got to go all in. But I was actually surprised that the entire wall was living for a conference. I was like, and then they take it down and take it back and keep them alive. And I was like, wow. So just
I did not know that.
Did you not know that?
That is new information for me.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was impressed.
I'm about to Slack the marketing team and be like, well done. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and people came by the booth and were like attendees of the conference were like, wow, that's amazing. Like it actually drew people into the stand as well, including me. So it got me. I filmed it actually. I did look. They were in my vlog. I vlogged it and was like, "Oh, there's a greenhouse." And
that's
then
incredible.
Yeah. So
I'm impressed.
Well, so by now the guests listening probably know you're from Greenhouse because you threw that in. But we should probably do an intro. Give everyone a bit of background yourself and sort of the journey to where we are now.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short. Currently at Greenhouse, I'm a VP of people there. I lead some teams I'm really passionate about. So this is engagement, performance, HR business partner, internal comms, people development, all things that actually my team name is the People Success Team. And so I've tried to model it after a customer success type team, which was a past life job that I had. My team gets here and thinks about what will it take for the human beings that have signed up to work at this company to have the best years of their career here. And that's basically our North Star. Everything we build, design, and do is dedicated to come together and make that happen. And so I think that's a pretty cool job.
Yeah.
I spent most of my time in tech. I've had a few different stops along the way. I got my start, and I think you and I talked about this. I got my start in a tiny mom and pop recruiting firm.
Yes.
I had an actual mirror in my cubicle written in Sharpie. It said smile and dial on it.
Oh, yes, we did speak about this.
I was making 125, I think was the number, oddly,
KPIs
calls a
every
day.
Oh, man, we grew up the same
Hitting
way.
the phones. And that was an interesting, I mean, I wouldn't trade it because it was honestly the hardest job you can imagine and have. And I had a Rolodex. I'm calling on a piece of paper. And I know. So I have such respect.
These kids have no idea. Well, we didn't even have computers, let alone LinkedIn. When you're talking about
yes, I was. So this is true, and I'll get back into this. I was presenting at a conference 2 days ago, and it was about AI, and it's about how AI is disrupting the HR space, and I did a whole spiel on that. And I said, one of my points is recruiters have an easier job now. And then I felt like that old man on the porch because all of a sudden I found myself saying, "You don't know how hard it was.
Yeah, that's true.
You have an AI that's building your job description. What?"
Yeah.
So I had to reel it in a little bit. And then ultimately I went to work for LinkedIn. So that was a big stop in my career journey, probably the most important one, where I was going from company to company, helping them stop recruiting the way I was recruiting.
That's crazy.
And said, you can use social media. I was at Shell and all these oil and gas companies. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, here, let me show you. Did that for years. Worked at Hulu, built their talent function, worked at GoDaddy, built their talent function. And then one of my favorite stops was I worked in a rocket factory for Virgin. So you're probably aware the billionaire space race. I was working for Richard
there's basically
Branson.
just two of them. It's like there's just two basically, right?
There's two, and they're kind of it's such an expensive endeavor, and people are like, I don't know if I want to pay $250K for one ticket to go up into space for 20 minutes. So it's a small market of people, but we were building rockets, and that was cool for a while.
Cool. Yeah, I can imagine. That must be fascinating. No free rides as an employee?
You know what's funny? No free rides, but you get a referral bonus. So if I find someone willing to spend the $250, I get a cut of that.
Who do I know?
A program we launched.
Yeah, who do I know? There's only, what? To be honest, I've got quite a few people in my Rolodex I could have used.
It causes you to reflect on your network, and I was like, I'm not sure my network's where I need it to be.
You're like, I need to level up
I do.
my network through that. But I feel like the experiences that you mentioned early on, like you said, you wouldn't trade it because it's what created, carved out who you are today. And it's the same for me. I spent 10 years in that environment, cold calling, a couple of hours on the phone every day, 100+ dials, a Rolodex, and these old books that they would publish every few years that had the Rolodex of every switchboard of large companies by A to Z. And you just go through that, and that was it, right? You're doing deals via fax machine. And and then if you were lucky, 4 or 5 years later, you had a computer. And it was a luxury to have an email and a computer as well. So, I mean, I started doing that when I was 17. So it was pretty cool. So when we flash forward to what we're going to talk about today, it's almost unbelievable. Honestly, it's hard to even fathom where we've gone from there to even just a step that LinkedIn took to bring that marketplace in one space. That I bought LinkedIn early on. I still pay £14 a month. I have the legacy LinkedIn. And I remember the first time I messaged on LinkedIn, messaged Michael Dell, who owned Dell computers.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah, and he replied.
Hey,
No, he did. He replied to me on
That's
LinkedIn.
Amazing.
And I was like, hey, could you connect me with your chief people officer? Because I was trying to sell to them. And he was like, sure. And then I remember, and he connected me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I am one step removed from anyone." I can just that just changed my whole universe. I can't explain so much. Anyone listening right now, this whole entire company, I've reached every single guest that's ever been on this podcast, 80% probably a plus were people I just DM'd on LinkedIn. And yes,
It's
maybe
amazing.
for every 100 messages, 10 replied, but who cares about the other 80? 90. It just matters about the 10. No one remembers the ones that don't reply, right? As well. So it's absolutely incredible. And with AI now, it's just taking it to a whole nother world. And I love your point about people's success. Is that what you said?
Yeah, people success team.
Because forever we've been trying to look at our employees and through the similar lens as our customers and creating those hyper-personalized
Exactly.
experiences. As soon as you said that, it immediately resonated with me. And with AI now, we have the capability to do that at scale, right?
Yes.
And within context and meet people where they're at. So how are you thinking about that? You seems like you're a little bit further ahead in your thought process, maybe even before the technology. So how are you transitioning that into your practices and your processes that you have in place now?
Yeah. Okay. So I could talk about this for the next like 14 hours. So I'm going to try and reel it in because I'm locked in on this. I really am. I did a presentation about this earlier this week where I basically said, here are my bold statements about what is happening right now. And I won't go through all of them, but I'll just say a few of them and see what you think and get your reaction. One of them is that coaching is now democratized because of AI. And in my opinion, coaching has been fundamentally broken for decades. Not, I'm a certified coach. I believe that it is a useful tool, but it's extraordinarily expensive. It is only reserved for certain people at certain times, typically the top people in an organization. And I think the part that's actually broken is that let's say I'm your coach for the day, Chris, and you have a difficult thing that happens at work. You wait a week for a meeting and you come to a meeting and then you explain it to
It's
me and I
too
say,
late.
oh,
Yeah.
great, cool. That's interesting. Hey, go and try this. I can't see you go try it, by the way. You're going to go try it. I'm going to be on the beach somewhere. And then you go and try it and something happens. You wait a week, you come back to me and I'm like, how'd it go? And you're like, okay. Explain it to me. So it's like a game of telephone. And it's still effective. That's why people still do it. But could it be way more effective? Yeah. So now coaches are ubiquitous. They're in this meeting, they're in my Slack, they're in my email. I finish in one-on-one with someone on my team. And by the way, we have this capability at Greenhouse. And I finish this one-on-one and the coach is like, hey, remember your goal about not dominating in meetings and talking more a percentage? Remember your goal about asking more questions? Here's how you did on that. You asked three. And I'm getting this real-time coaching that is everywhere. And now I can actually bring that to my real coach, the real human coach, and they have such a better amount of data and examples. And this goes with sports, where it's like if you watch someone shoot a basketball, the coach should be there to be like, hey, do this, fine tune this. That doesn't exist in corporate coaching, but it does now. And that is, I think, one of the biggest growth levers that we're going to see, period, in the HR space right now. So that's one of them that I talk a lot about.
Yeah. Keep riffing, man. Keep going. I'm with you on that. There's not much to add to that, but the answer is yes, I agree. And now we're democratizing access
Yes.
to that, right? At scale, to your point, it was expensive. It was time. There's time restraints, etc. It wasn't. It was personalized to an extent, but can you find a coach that really matches who you are and that you can relate to? That was always quite tough.
Totally.
To relate to my background, my lived experiences, etc. But I always find the same thing. It's like I need coaching in the flow of work and life.
In the flow of work.
Right? We're not a week later or next week in my check-in. And it's always on, right? Because it's the agents are constantly learning and they have the connections to your calendar, to your email, to your Zoom calls and transcriptions, all of that nuance and context, no matter how smart the human being or the coach is smart enough to gather all of that and be able to process the data. And then,
Totally.
where it gets really exciting, and I don't know if you're doing this yet, is you're then connecting that back to the business priorities and to strategic objectives and making sure that your coach understands the culture of the organization, the strategic priorities and your skills and competencies, etc. So now it's also providing you feedback in the context of the business to help drive those objectives, if that makes sense. And that was a lot of information.
It makes perfect sense. And people are wondering, oh, is it weird to have an AI, bot or whatever you want to call it, join my meetings and provide me feedback? Is that weird? And there is still a comfortability curve that's happening. And what we found at Greenhouse is within 48 hours, people are like, man, whatever. It's like people are used to it. And this is ingrained in our interview process. And it is becoming more normalized, particularly in the tech industry. I actually bought a AI coach product in 2019. It was the first one ever. And I piloted it when I worked for Virgin. And it was so bad. I had to turn it off. No, I'm sure it's great now. So no offense.
The LLMs were only so advanced.
It wasn't ready.
Right? Yeah,
it wasn't ready. But I've been trying this and wanting this because I've been just salivating for someone to fix this problem that I believe is happening with coaching. And I'll blow your mind a little further. So I'm an advisor at a company called Sure People, and they're revolutionizing the psychometric assessment space. So if you've taken Strength Finders or DISC or Hogan, which I'm certified in all those, if you want to know where my Hogan results are, which again, I love Hogan, they're right here in my desk drawer, and they're not in the flow of work. So what psychometric assessments are doing is saying, great, we're going to give you this beautiful self-awareness moment. We're integrating with Slack. We have an AI overlay. So I'm going to chat a message to you, Chris. I see your personality profile, and it's going to help me craft my language to you in a way that's going to resonate. I know you don't like details. I know you're a visionary, or I know you like details. I know you like, and I'm now able to communicate with you virtually in a whole different way. And then I'm getting coaching on top of that. I mean, that's a whole different.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, that's a game changer, and I'm assuming the individual themselves can set that. So,
correct.
Right. So, because I'm very much I'm a creative person, right? So that's visually. So if you want to explain something to me, you better have some visuals.
Yeah.
If you send me just bullet points, or you communicate with me just through an Excel spreadsheet, I need to understand the story, the vision, and yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, whereas someone more analytical is going to be completely different. Well. And the fact that you can build that in, and it can do it at scale, and the AI could probably suggest based on that profile, this is how you should write it. And it could generate.
Exactly.
Yeah. And generate the message in the tone that, and the way that, oh man, the possibilities are endless. And this is the thing, right? Like what is the coach? Can you say what the coaching tool is you're using at Greenhouse?
Yeah, there's a few, and that we actually. So one of them that we worked with is called Kona. They were just acquired by 15Five, which major performance system, and that tells you something. That tells you that these large scale performance companies are looking at this and saying, okay, we want to integrate this into our larger system. I know Lattice is working on their AI agents currently.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing, either acquired companies like this being acquired, or they're spinning these things up with their internal AI teams and hiring AI talent. And it's happening, and you're seeing a lot of these companies, like Kindred Minds is a great one that you should check out if you're interested in this AI coaching. There's a few others, but there's no shortage anymore. They're popping up everywhere.
They're everywhere. So one of the things quickly that we're launching with Atlas, our own agent that we built with HR executives, which is launching next month, is our dynamic learning pathways. So you have all the capabilities that you've just described that we've built in there, which I'm really excited about. I'm probably gonna get in trouble if you're even talking about this right now.
Good. I want that.
yeah. But basically, what we've built is, after you get that feedback and you have that coaching conversation, you can click a button right at the bottom of the AI chat that says "Learn," and it goes into learn mode, and it starts to ask you some level setting questions, and then based on that level setting questions, it understands where you are at, your level of skill, competency, experience, and it builds you a learning pathway specifically designed around that. But this is the difference between other AI course generators that are roll out there, where you throw in your content, it generates. Our platform's dynamic, so it will generate the first module based on those questions. It will bring in our content, your own learning materials in the company within the context of your organization, aligned with your policies, etc. So anything it's generating is within the context of your organization and the individual. So already that's a game changer, just that part. It will generate the first learning module, and it's basically interactive and practice-based. So you're having a conversation with the coach, it's giving you feedback. It could be, how do I give feedback to an employee, right? Practice, It gives you a little feedback. This is how well you did. You can do it as many times as you want. And then based on how you did in the first module of the learning pathway, it will only then generate the second module, right? So it's hyper-personalized to the individual, but it's still upskilling the employee on all of the important areas that your organization wants. So if you created 10 learning pathways for, say, a manager academy, it will cover all of the areas, but the second that manager clicks on it, it starts to become hyper-personalized to them. And it's delivered directly within Slack and Teams. So straight in the flow of work, you don't have not another app, and all of the modules and everything can be generated inside of Slack and Teams. So that's something that's taken us a long while.
I'm interested.
To create, yeah. But because the temptation was to, let's just put like what LinkedIn Learning does. You got the LinkedIn Learning course with an AI assistant attached on the side. But it has zero context of who you are.
Don't get me started. I got a whole spiel on this.
I'll go for it. Jump in. Go.
Well, okay. So the first slide of my my spiel that I do says e-learning is dead. It's the first slide.
Great. We agree on that. That's right.
E-learning is dead. Imagine a world where you want to become a better negotiator. Just you and I, we're about to go at it. We're gonna be, and so I'm like, well, let me watch a 2-hour e-learning on negotiation. Hey, tell me how I'm gonna do in our negotiation. Not well. I have a distinct fear of not being able to help my children with homework. I don't know what it is, but I have this weird fear.
I think all parents have that, to be honest.
And I'm like, I don't know what this is. So a couple nights ago, I was on Gemini. I said, Gemini, can you teach me algebra? And Gemini's like, okay, sure. What's your level of skill? What do you want? I was like, just start from the beginning, work me through it. I'm like, okay, let me give you an entry level little piece of content, and let me give you a problem. I'm solving this problem. It's like, good, you got that right. Let me make it a little harder for you. I started this at 9 p.m. It is 2 a.m. I'm doing algebra. And I'm like, what has happened? But it was it was just bringing me along.
Exactly what you described. Exactly, yeah.
And I was having this conversation, and then I was like, I'm done now. It's like, cool, I'll check in with you tomorrow. That was better than my algebra teacher, but clearly, because I've thought I was bad at math my entire life. I'm like, maybe I got something going here.
The way you learn, right? It's
totally. Now, if for what you're talking about, to have a flow of work AI that is built to do that, but in a better way, that is the future. I would not want anyone to sit in an e-learning ever again. It has to be 100% personalized to where you're at. Then what we're talking about, you overlay the coaching information, you overlay your psychometric assessment, you overlay your company goals, your leadership behaviors that are required at that company. All that's filtered in. You can grow, I want to say, at a 25-30% faster rate. So you're going to have employees that are becoming better faster. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, like we've looked at even just the companies we've piloted with now, like we're upskilling employees 80% faster.
Wow.
Right, because there's no longer this, you have to take this 20 module course. What if you could do it in 2? Right? And because when you, based on the level setting questions, I may have more knowledge on it than you, right? Or vice versa. So I don't need to do the entire 10 modules to know. And also I can say, and this is how I personally, this is one of our biggest challenges, which we kind of did to ourselves, is I didn't want to launch this until you could actually have the option to choose how you learn. So for example, you can do the entire learning pathway just voice and just talk to the agent. You could do it just text. You can turn all the documents and it will generate all of them into podcasts. So you can.
Which I just did that. Oh, it was insane. Yeah. It was insane because I'm a runner, so I was thinking, exactly. I'm doing a presentation on AI. AI, help me. I want to know what's hot. What's hot right now? Multimodal, AI agents. I want to know what's hot. Put that in a 30-minute podcast for me. I'm going to go on my run, and I'm running, listening, and it sounded so real.
It's unbelievable. It's
like, hey,
Notebook LM. Did you do it through Notebook?
No, I did it through Gemini. Gemini's deep research.
Oh, Gemini got that as well now.
Yeah.
Notebook LM is unbelievable. Like, if you ever tried that before, you can like uploaded like a World Economic Forum research paper the other day, and it spat it out with 2 people having a conversation about it.
Right, exactly.
And I'm just like losing my mind. Like, I can just go for a walk.
It's no Chris. Let's be real.
Yeah.
They can never be Chris, but it was something.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you for a wrap up is like, how have you always maintained at Greenhouse a company culture and the team cohesion being fully remote? Because that's an ongoing challenge that everyone I speak to faces.
It's extremely hard, and anyone that says they've got it figured out is not being honest. It's super hard. and you have a people experience team. You prioritize events and in-person gatherings, and you work really hard to create flashbulb moments of connectivity and through a series of different mechanisms. And then you measure it through your engagement survey, whatever. You get the data, how we doing? And it's just this constant I want to say battle because that sounds intense, but it's just a constant thought process of how you do it. And people are changing. You have an in-person event, used to be everyone's going. It's harder to get attendance to that stuff. People are becoming more insular. And the longer you work at a remote company, I think your mind and body adapt to needing a little bit less of that. So being really intentional and seeing attendance and what events are working and what's not. We basically just said we're going to give departments budget to get their teams together a certain amount of times per year. We found that people like to meet with their teams more than they like to meet in these large group events. And you're like, that's good. You want engineers meeting with marketing people, but that's actually not what's giving people energy right now. And so you have to just follow the leads a little bit. You have to put budget towards it. So we shut down most of our offices globally. That gave us some real estate budget, and you got to flow that back in some way into the people experience virtual stuff. We measure it like crazy. We've integrated our people experience team to our inclusion, diversity, equity, allyship team. So those have come into one team because we see that as a really important connective team. And some of our events are really geared towards that. Others are just like a Halloween costume contest. Let's do that and have a winner. We have a Bonusly, our recognition program. So that's our virtual way to get some good energy and recognize. You spend your points on like real gift cards and stuff. So we're just launching a new swag store. We're trying everything. And then we ask, hey, how you feeling? How we doing? And you just re-up, try something else.
I love that. You've always got to be constantly experimenting, right? And trying new things. But I like the fact that you put the power into you're empowering your managers to be able to do that with their small teams, because in reality that's kind of the best way to be able to do and to maximize that budget. Yeah, it's great to get everyone together maybe once a year, but in reality you need those moments that matter for the opportunities for those teams to celebrate, to build trust beyond the walls of work, and really build the relationships that they need.
Totally.
What would you say is like
a lot of stuff.
Go on, sorry.
I was just saying a lot of the stuff that we just talked about with integrated flow of work Slack stuff, it's actually helping a lot. Anything that you can do to give someone a tool to collaborate better virtually, whether that's Glean AI or Gemini or Slack, even Zoom, what tools you choose matter a ton, and helping people use them well.
Yeah.
So we just invested a lot, and I actually have a goal to be the best remote company on earth. That's my goal. That's my North Star.
I mean, the fact you're already looking at it through the lens of people's success is already, because you changed the lens completely how you look at everything.
Yeah.
And and that's why we could do a whole 8-hour episode on this. If you had to say one, what was the biggest challenge though that you had to overcome?
Personally, professionally, greenhouse?
No, I mean, in terms of maintaining the company culture, team cohesion whilst remote, like what's been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome?
I would say we're in a competitive business. Companies don't need multiple hiring platforms, and we are out there grinding, launching new products. I don't know if you saw, we just did a partnership with Clear, and we're trying to fight candidate fraud. But the point of that is that the landscape is changing. AI is amazing, but now we've got 5 zillion spammers to jobs.
It's crazy. That's a new thing, right? Like,
yeah,
it's only a month ago, a couple of months ago, candidate fraud didn't even exist. And now, like everyone I'm talking to, everyone I speak to, we're talking about how do we solved one problem.
Correct.
And created another one.
Another one. Fighting AI problems with AI is what's happening right now in our business. And so being first to market, innovating, doing that virtually, bringing the right people together, having the right operating rhythm to maintain our market leadership position and get in the trenches against our competitors. That's what I think about every day, and putting the right teams, the right mechanisms, the right collaboration tools in place that allow us to go in there and compete and win consistently. That's the people success whole thought process. And it's not easy, but that's the lens.
Dude, we need to do part 2 because we're running out of time now, but we literally just scratched the surface. But before I let you go, what advice would you have for those HR leaders tomorrow? Because they're coming into a completely different world that we started in. Where we're at now. What advice would you give to them? And then we'll say goodbye.
Okay, I like to give advice that's really practical and easy and not pie in the sky. It's something you can actually do that will help you learn and figure out the landscape we're in. Get some live demos from these companies that are innovating. Go reach out to Kindred Minds AI Coaching or Kona, or go talk to if they have an AI tool, something you've already invested in, just get the demo. I mean, with what you just said you're launching next month, Chris, they'll be really happy to talk to you, by the way. You don't have to buy it, but you will learn and more by doing that.
And asking questions. Else. Yeah, you're right. Like, even if you don't buy it, just ask questions during it. Even I do it, and I'm building my own.
Yeah.
And I go to those companies and get on calls and ask questions with them.
That's the way to learn. And you might buy one. Also, you got to push your company a little bit to get comfortable with it, to pilot it, to try it. Some of us are in person. Some of us work in regulated environments. Some of us, I did when I worked in a rocket factory. It would have been way harder to go in and demo and try some of this. So you have to push and try, or even do it in your personal time, but don't get left behind. Start doing it now. You can't ignore it. It's happening. And that's my only advice. And if you need help, I'm on the journey too. You can reach out to me.
Yeah. Where's the best place? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn's a great place to find me. Just look for this face. Type in Will Leahy. You can't miss me.
Is there any more Will Leahys on there? Have you checked? Is there any more Will Leahys on LinkedIn?
There are several.
Really?
They're all Irish.
No, okay.
Yeah, they're all Irish for the most part. And apparently I say my last name wrong. It's Leahy. Every time I go to Ireland, they're like, it's Leahy. And I'm like, all right, great.
I found out from a distant relative that I hadn't connected with that my family name is actually supposed to be pronounced Renee.
Should we switch it up?
Not Rainey. And I was like being told by someone else that my name is wrong. And I was like, that's
Will Leahy and Chris Renee closing out the podcast.
We sound way more important now, where we've changed our names. But listen, man.
Leahy.
Yeah. I'll get you a little outfit as well, like a green.
I want a monocle. I want a top hat. I want the whole deal.
Next time, we'll do a fancy dress episode and just confuse everyone out there.
Keep it fancy here, Chris.
And we won't even reference it on the show. We'll just like be in like the outfits and not even just pretend that nothing's different. Whatsoever.
Nothing would bring me more joy, Chris, than that. And if you're honestly willing to do it, I'm in.
No, I'm not joking either. We'll make it happen. But listen, man, I appreciate you coming on, and always fun. I'm glad we finally recorded this time our conversations.
Yeah.
And wish you all the best until we next speak.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Chris. And hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thanks, man.